video. Time to begin our daily devotion for the day. We're going to continue Genesis 13 and 14 for the day. So, let's dig in. So, Abram left Egypt and went back to the Negev, he and his wife and everything he owned, and Lot still with him. By now, Abram was very rich, loaded with cattle and silver and gold. He moved on from the Negev, camping along the way to Bethel, the place he had first set up his tent between Bethel and Ai, and built his first altar. Abram prayed there to the Lord. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, was also rich in sheep and cattle and tents, but the land couldn't support both of them. They had too many possessions. They couldn't both live there. Quarrels broke out between Abram's shepherds and Lot's shepherds. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living on the land at the time. Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have fighting between us. Between your shepherds and my shepherds. After all, we're family. Look around. Isn't there plenty of land out there? Let's separate. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left." Lot looked. He saw the whole plain of the Jordan spread out, well-watered. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Like the Lord's garden, like Egypt, and stretching all the way to Zoar. Lot took the whole plain of the Jordan. Lot set out to the east. That's how they came to part company, uncle and nephew. Abram settled in Canaan. Lot settled in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent near Sodom. The people of Sodom were evil, fragrant sinners against the Lord. After Lot separated from him, the Lord said to Abraham, "Open your eyes. Look around. Look north, south, east, and west. Everything you see, the whole land spread out before you, I will give to you and your children forever. I'll make your descendants like dust. Counting your descendants will be as impossible as counting the dust of the earth. So on your feet, get moving. Walk through the country, its length and its breadth. I'm giving it all to you." Abram moved his tent. He went and settled by the oaks of Mamre in Hebron. There he built an altar to the Lord. Then this: Afrael, king of Shinar, Ara, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, went off to war to fight Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Sinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zibon, and the king of Bela, that is, Zoar. The second group of kings attacked. They came together in the valley of Siddim, that is, the salt sea. They had been under the thumb of Kedor for 12 years. In the 13th year they revolted. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him set out and defeated the Ramphim in Ashtaroth Kernim, the Zizim in Ham, the Imim in Shaveh Kitrim, and the Horites in the hill country of Zir, as far as El Paran, on the far edge of the desert. On their way back, they stopped at En Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, and conquered the whole region of the Amalekites, as well as that of the Amorites who lived in Hazron Tamar. That's when the king of Sodom marched out with the king of Gomorrah, the king of Adam, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zoar. They drew up in battle formation against their enemies in the valley of Siddim, against Kilimur, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amram, king of Sinar, and Arak, king of Elser. 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim was full of tar pits. When the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, they fell into the tar pits, but the rest escaped into the mountains. The 4 kings captured all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah, all their food and equipment, and went on their way. They captured Lot, Abram's nephew, who was living in Sodom at the time, taking everything he owned with them. A fugitive came and reported to Abram the Hebrew. Abram was living at the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Esha and Aner. They were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his nephew had been taken prisoner, he lined up his servants, all of them born in his household. There were 318 of them, and chased after the captors all the way to Dan. Abram and his men split into small groups and attacked by night. They chased them as far as Hobah, just north of Damascus. They recovered all the plunder along with nephew Lot and his possessions, including the women and the people. After Abram returned from defeating Chedorlaomer and his allied kings, the king of Sodom came out to greet him in the valley of Shavra, the king's valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of the high God and blessed him. Blessed be Abram by the high God, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be the high God who handed your enemies over to you. Abram gave him 1/10 of all the recovered plunder. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me back the people, but keep all the plunder for yourself." But Abram told the king of Sodom, "I swear to the Lord, the high God, creator of heaven and earth, this solemn oath, that I will take nothing from you, not so much as a thread or a shoestring. I'm not going to have you go around saying I made Abram rich. Nothing for me other than what the young man ate, and the share of the men who went with me, Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre. They'll get their share of the plunder." And these stories lead into, eventually, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is about 16. So it will be fun to dig into. Because so far, we just know that the kingdoms are not necessarily the best people, that they are doing evil in the Lord's sight. What the Lord does with it from there, we get to see. But I do find it interesting that Abram has been causing himself a couple of problems, like needing to go sack a couple of kings because Lot went with him. And it's interesting to me that even when one does not listen to God, but trusts, the Lord tends to work it out. It may just be a little painful for us along the way. Because 318 beat more kings, so it'd be interesting to continue to dig in. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.